Stark, Tony Stark. This is the second War of Realms tie-in. They stated in the earlier one that this is happening before issue 1 of War of Realms. I very much appreciate that. As much as I hate that the War of Realms crossover tie-ins haven't been happening at the same time that the War of Realms proper issues were being released. But good effort. So the first half of this comic book was absolute garbage. That's French garbage. And I just got a comment on my YouTube channel. Sadgering the All-Consuming was the villain in this comic book. The trope was Iron Man leaking magic. Bendis. His very final stories had Tony Stark becoming the new master of mystic arts. He did it in Infamous Iron Man when, what was his name? Who's the bad guy? Dr. Doom was sent to like a future where he saw Tony Stark kind of levitating, kind of looking like that. His very final issue of, it was 600, you saw a future glimpse where Nightcrawler and Tempest were seeing a future Tony Stark as the master of the mystic art. So this is continuing something from a guy who was on his way out just writing stories for the sake of it. And I don't think any fan liked what Bendis, how he finished his Iron Man up, or even his Miles Morales. No one's really like praising that. I think with Leonardo da Vinci, remember that? Leonardo da Vinci in a comic book? I don't know what his thing is with Leonardo da Vinci and the old shield and all that. Like, nobody picked up on it until Gail Simone did. And so this is, continuing that storyline. My phone keeps going off. The computer keeps going off. We're just going to power through this. So the dragon attacks the stock market. All right, whatever. There's a page here. Part where Tony Stark says, I don't know if I'm really Tony Stark. That's false advertising. That's everything you learned from Spider-Man Clone Saga, which every fan hated. I never read it, but I know it's hated. It's just, I don't want to read Tony Stark's Iron Man with a character who might not be Tony Stark. I hope he does end up, I'm always Tony Stark. I was just doubting myself. If he's just like a downloaded version and we got to get the real one, then I feel like we would have wasted our time reading a character who was not who it is. These are the times where I'm okay with a character not being who they are. Mystique is impersonating them, or Skrulls are impersonating them. Because then it adds a reread value, a repeat reading value, where we could go again and we could say, that's why he was using his left hand instead of his right. Oh, he lied. He said that because he knew such and such. It's great when we can do that and we can see it was actually Mystique the whole time. It just happened in Uncanny X-Men with Captain America being taken over by Mystique to trick over the X-Men. That was great and I didn't hate it. It only lasted about an issue, maybe 2-3 issues later. Long story short, I didn't like that Tony Stark didn't know if he was Tony Stark. And the book gets good because of this page here. Wait, he doesn't know? He doesn't know he caused this somehow? He must have infected the AI with his sheer presence, and that infected the armor, which got the writer thinking, got Tony thinking, and he came back with an unartificial intelligence suit. It would be the Mark I. I love when you make old things relevant, because it means that the old comics mattered. The time you spent reading that comic or the movie that I watched, because I didn't read the first Iron Man, it might have been called Tales to Astonish or whatever they were called back then. Back in the days, maybe you didn't know this, the comics weren't actually, named after the titled character. Spider-Man debuted in Amazing Fantasy, issue number 15, right? There was no comic called The Black Panther. I think it was called Jungle Action, etc. So, yeah, the book was cool because it did that. And here he comes with this original suit, just straight up, slugging, and he gets that dragon down, and Janet comes in. Back to the things I don't like. Janet Van Dyne, Wasp. She's maybe gonna marry him. He's struggled with saying I love you, but he didn't say I love you. Black Panther and Storm taught me better. Iceman and Kitty Pryde taught me better. Peter Parker and Mary Jane, like, characters will not marry. They are established to their own kind of subsection of the Marvel Universe. He's an Iron, she's a Ant-Man character. They don't. Mr. Fantastic and his wife, that works because they're on the same team with the same editor writing and writer writing them and artist. They will always be linked together because of that. But one day there's going to be a writer who says, I want to write a proper Ant-Man story. This Tony Stark thing is keeping her back. I know. I'll make a divorce. Oh, it's gonna be a great story. Which it could be a great story. It's just a cliche. It's just like ever since Empire Strikes Back, I might have mentioned this in one of my reviews before. The whole I am your father deal has been overplayed. We can secretly have these guys be father and son. Oh, they'll never see that coming. No. The best and most impactful time I've ever had it was in a movie in 1980. Every other time it's becoming less and less impactful. So why did I get into that? Just cliches, like we're gonna divorce these characters. Now I'm thinking I can make a great story out of it. That's what's gonna happen with Tony and Janet. They will not last forever, and I'm not gonna enjoy the ride. Not a happy camper. I will strongly dislike this. I'm sorry I'm being negative. No, I'm not sorry I'm being negative. I'm being negative because I didn't like this comic book. People who do like the comic book, man, I welcome your feedback. That's what YouTube is for. Tell me why this was great. Maybe you really loved that the Mark I suit came back, and that was the saving grace, and I don't know what I'm talking about. Comment section is for that. Thank you for watching my review. You can watch any other of these reviews on the screen.